take me, you lead me to a place where there is freedom. What is broken, you're restoring. What is hurting, you are healing. Jesus, my shepherd, I can trust in you forever. And when I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you tell me it's just a shadow. I won't forget that your love is always with me. Your joy is my strength. It's getting brighter, brighter with every step. With every step. With every step. Into the light, out of the darkness. It's getting brighter with every step. You take me, you lead me to a place where there is freedom. What is broken, you're restoring. What is hurting, you are healing. Jesus, my shepherd, I can trust in you forever. And when I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you tell me it's just a shadow. I won't forget that your love is always with me. Your joy is my strength. It's getting brighter, brighter with every step. Your love is all around me, and I'm not afraid. Your word is guiding my feet. You light the way. Your love is all around me, and I'm not afraid. Your word is guiding my feet. You light the way. Your love is all around me, and I'm not afraid. Your word is guiding my feet. You light the way. Your love is all around me, and I'm not afraid. Your word is guiding my feet. Hey, hey. And when I walk through the valley of the shadow, you tell me it's just a shadow. I won't forget that your love is always with me. Your joy is my strength. It's getting brighter, brighter with every step. With every step. Hey, with every step. With every step. Into the light, out of the darkness. It's getting brighter with every step.
Hey VKids! For our final 2 weeks of VKids Choice, we are going to break down one of the biggest choices of Daniel's life into 2 parts. So let's start. ask God for wisdom, He helps us to make wise choices in life. As you grow and mature, decisions and choices get harder and become more important. We need God's guidance every single day. How do we get this wisdom and guidance from God? Well, we ask Him for it. We pray. That is exactly what Daniel did every day. The Bible tells us that Daniel prayed to God 3 times a day. King Darius is now the new ruler and has decided to appoint leaders in different areas over the kingdom. 3 governors were chosen to help rule and report things back to the king. Daniel was one of those leaders. The other administrators and officials were not too happy about it. They actually were jealous and started looking for bad things about Daniel. They wanted to catch Daniel doing something wrong. There had to be something that they would, accuse him of, criticize, or condemn him of. The administrators, they couldn't find anything to get Daniel in trouble. The Bible tells us that Daniel was faithful, always responsible, and completely trustworthy. They decided the only way they could catch him in disobedience is if they had to do with his belief or the rules of his religion. So the officials schemed and planned to trap Daniel, but they needed the king's help to pull it off. So the officials went to the king with a scheme or plan that they knew would work. They knew that Daniel only prayed and worshiped the one true God, the same God that we serve and no one else. They knew that his friends also only served the one true God. They had never seen Daniel worship any of the false gods, and they wanted to trap him by using the pride of King Darius. So the officials went to the king and said, "Long live King Darius. We are all in agreement. We, the administrators, officials, high officers, advisors,
Hey, VKids,
and
welcome
governors,
back.
that the king should make a law that will be strictly enforced. Give orders that for the next 30 days, any person who prays to anyone, divine or human, except to you, the king, his majesty, would be thrown into the den of lions. And now, your majesty issued and signed this law, so it cannot be changed." So King Darius signed the law. What in the world was Daniel going to do? These are some really crazy people. Clearly, they didn't like Daniel, and they have tricked the king to get their way. Because you see, King Darius, he really likes Daniel and has placed him in a place of high honor. The king trusted Daniel. The king has no idea that the officials were tricking him in their scheme against Daniel. The new law, it was spread around the country. It was posted around town and announced to all the people. What would have been the easy route for Daniel to do? What would you guys think? Not pray, right? He would have easily fallen. He could have easily fallen into the temptation to not pray to God and instead pray to the king. After all, it was only for 30 days, you know? What could hurt? Have you ever been tempted to do something that you knew was wrong, but what should you do in those times of temptation? Ask for help, right? So Daniel knew exactly what he was supposed to do, what he needed to do. When he learned about the new law, he went straight home. And the Bible tells us that he had opened his windows, he had knelt down and prayed. Now, did Daniel not hear the law? If you didn't follow it, you'll be thrown into a den of lions. That was the punishment. But Daniel prayed 3 times that day, just as he always did. He gave thanks to God. He asked him for help. And God will always help us. He is always there for us. He has promised that in his word, and he can and he can never go back on that. So guess who showed up and saw Daniel when he was praying? The king's officials. They saw Daniel praying and immediately went straight to the king. They went to go tell the king, making the right choices and living right gives us confidence. It's the same type of confidence Daniel had when he opened his window and prayed, and he showed the world he wasn't hiding from what was right. So putting our hope and trust in our amazing creator of the universe, God gives us courage. It's the same type of courage that Daniel and his friends showed the king, and when they stood for what they believe in instead of bowing down to pressure. When we pray to God for help, for guidance and wisdom, he hears us, he answers us, and he promises to never leave us. So I hope to see you next week to listen to our part 2 of our story. I hope you have an amazing week, VKids.